Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I just finished the afternoon off watching the live stream from Placer County regarding the little bit of information that they can give us so far. So I just wanted to put this video together with a quick recap of what's gone on ever since her vehicle was pulled from the water last night. For those of you who do not know, Kiely Rodni, who's been missing since August 6th from Placer County, was found last night in a body of water not far from where the party apparently took place that she attended that night. Now, I will say at this point in time, the vehicle itself has been verified as being Kiely's Honda SUV. The only thing that they are stating at this time is that there was one decedent in the vehicle. That's all we know. They're not actually going to be doing the autopsy until sometime tomorrow, and the toxicology report could take 4 to 6 weeks to come back. Now, as I mentioned in my last video, Adventures with Purpose had been searching closer to where Kiely's house actually was, and then around 10:40 in the morning yesterday, they decided to go up to the campground and start looking because they hadn't come up with literally anything. They went out there with sonar boats and literally found her vehicle within 35 minutes, guys. At 11:15 is when their sonar pinged her vehicle. But basically when they went down to verify the vehicles, whenever they got the license plate, and that's how they did the verification. They also stated that once in the water to go down to where the ping was coming from, it wasn't visibly noticeable until they were about 14 feet down. So then you have to also take into consideration the height of the vehicle, right? So that would really have meant that it was under like what, 8.5 to 10 feet of water hovering above the top of the vehicle, of it being upside down, the underbody of the vehicle. That's a pool, you guys. That is the depth of like an indoor pool, and it wasn't visible for 2 weeks. There's also a lot of misinformation about where the car was actually found, and even some people in the comments of my last video said that she was found by the boat dock, but that's not true. That's not true at all. From what the map shows, the boat dock is more north of where the party actually took place, and where her vehicle was actually found was south of the party location, the complete opposite direction of the boat ramp. And also, like mentioned before, SF Investigates on Twitter was a humongous part of this case. He's the one who did a bunch of drone footage. Now, I would implore people to go to his Twitter and actually look at all the footage. There was one that I watched either, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday, that Grizzly True Crime was showing on her video. And a lot of people agreed that it was almost like you could see something in the water. And they were talking about it again today, and I distinctly remember that because I went back and forth on that one like a few times to like see if I was seeing what I thought that I was seeing. And everyone in the chat was seeing the same thing. So SF Investigates was like right there. And Adventures with Purpose used a lot of his drone footage to try to like figure out where they needed to go. So I'm almost wondering if it's going to come out that they took a look at it and had an inkling that that's the car, and that's why it took them like no time at all once they got there to actually find it. I mean, that's a total possibility. They were working together. That's just speculation, but I know SF's drone footage had a crap ton to do with this case as well. He should be working with Adventures with Purpose on like everything. They work great together. As you can see, it looks like there's damage to the vehicle, like the mirror, and there's like a dent in the door. And I have some thoughts about this, so let's see if they make sense. Now, a lot of people are saying the damage could have been done whenever the vehicle went into the water. Okay, yeah, maybe so. But that would still mean that she was like completely unconscious and was unable to like press the brake or do anything like that. That would have caused the car to hit at such an impact that it would cause damage. And I don't know if impact to the water going like straight in would cause like an indentation on the door. Maybe it would make the mirror go all wonky, but I don't know if it would have actually done like an indentation. So then I'm questioning if she hit a tree And maybe when she jarred up against the tree, maybe she hit her head and it knocked her unconscious, and that's why she was able to go down this pretty long incline, guys. Like, I mean, I know it looks like kind of steep, but it really doesn't look all that steep. Not for an SUV, and not if you're like pressing the brake. Like, everything in my brain just keeps going to the brake was not a thing here. And only two explanations for that would be that she was unconscious when she was going full speed into the water for some reason, or it was pushed in and maybe the gas pedal was like forced down. I don't know, but this is just a little weird. There's also no real answer to this timeline, right, of the mass exodus of people leaving around 12:30, which is the exact same time that her phone stopped pinging and the exact same time-ish that Sammy is saying that she got a phone call from her. What if she got ran off the road? And maybe that's why there's like no one saying anything, because people saw it and they just don't want to get anybody in trouble. Again, speculation, but there's damage on that vehicle and a reason why she wouldn't have responded to going into the water. Now, I'm just going to speculate this here again because several people are saying this, and this is exactly how I felt watching the vehicle come out of the water live, and the way that they put the privacy things up, and then they made sure to physically place a blue tarp over the water in the exact location that the hatch of the SUV was coming out so that no one could see into the windows. But the driver's side window was broken. And another thing that was said after they announced that they had found the vehicle initially was that all of the windows were completely shut. So I don't know if it got broken whenever they were maybe using their devices that they have to use to have turned the vehicle over and over to lift it up off the ground, because there was a bunch of bubbles and stuff like coming up. So I'm just going to assume that they maybe use some sort of airbag lifts to try to get the vehicle up, because that would be like the most non-invasive way, right? Like without a mechanical arm going in and like moving it and maybe messing up something on the vehicle that they need as evidence, they would probably use these like airbag systems. That's just what it seems like to me. Because if it was upside down, if for anyone who watched it, you saw it came up with the hood touching the water. And that's another thing. There's no damage, from what I can tell, to the roof of the SUV to tell me that she would have flipped upside down prior to going into the water. That's just what my brain's telling me here. So if everyone, including myself's assumption is correct about the blue tarp, her body is in the back of that SUV. Obviously, she's not in the front, and they would not have taken her body out of the vehicle prior to removing the car, right? And why would they cover up the back like that if there wasn't a body back there? The front windows are wide open. I'm telling you, that front window, I'm sorry, I'm looking over to my screen where I have everything here. That front window is broken. So, I mean, that could have been broken with them moving the vehicle. It could have been broken on impact. But if that window in the back right there is really rolled down, that vehicle was not turned on and that window rolled down under the water. That means it would have had to have been rolled down prior to hitting the water. So if she was conscious when she hit the water, why wouldn't she have just came out that back window? Because she wasn't awake. That's the only explanation for that one. All of this just makes this so much sketchier. And something I did find kind of interesting was that during the live with Placer County, they stated that over 400 minors were interviewed. 400? We were already like, whoa, ain't no way, at 200 to 300. But now they've interviewed 400 minors. Holy crap. So this part's just speculative based on the answers I heard the law enforcement during the live give whenever they were asked about anything to do with Adventures with Purpose. They seem very salty. I'm just going to be honest here, guys. One of the reporters asked them, when was the last time that someone with their team, their law enforcement team of people, were actually there searching? And they wouldn't give them an answer. And he kept saying, oh, with so many search parties and so many things. No, there's no excuse for that. These search parties are organized. Everyone that is in the teams, it's all written down, and the latitudes and the longitudes of the area that they're supposed to search and the times that everything is documented. So why can't you answer that question? Then they got asked if they told Adventures with Purpose not to search the campground because they had already extensively searched it and proven that she wasn't there, so there was no point to them looking there. Now look, I have never heard that before, okay? But these reporters, they do come in there with information that they hear as rumors, trying to get a reaction to things. But the saltiness that I tasted in this conversation, okay, I'm almost wondering if that's what happened, because they're claiming they went out there with a submarine and all these things, and nobody found anything. Nobody found anything at all. It is super strange, okay? And they were out there like early. So everyone's talking about, okay, what about tracks? Well, it's a sandy-ish area, okay? And Grizzly mentioned she believes it's rained since Kiely had gone missing. But then one of the responses given by law enforcement during the live was the water is lower than it was 2 weeks ago, and that apparently the water level has dropped 3 to 4 feet in 2 weeks. Okay. I know that, like, global warming, okay, and all that crap, but I live in Texas, alright? And I don't believe I've ever known a body of water to dry up to 4 feet in just 2 weeks. That's just me. I'm just saying that seems a little like he was just trying to make excuses for stuff. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I felt in my body and in my bones listening to that conversation. Now, the next case that AWP is going to be helping on is Juleza Fuentes. She's a 22-year-old female that disappeared out of Selma, California. Her story is a little strange now that I'm like getting into it. I think I'm going to do some research onto it. There's a time gap that I have a bunch of questions for. So I'm going to do a little digging and probably do a video on that, because that one definitely needs to go out and get some information out there, because this woman is missing literally out of thin air, and so is her vehicle. Her vehicle hasn't been found either. It's a very, very sad situation. At this point, we wait for the autopsy results, which could be in the next few days if the autopsy isn't being performed until tomorrow, which would be August 23rd. And then we wait for talks to come back. Until then, unless somebody saw something and comes out and actually says something now that the vehicle's been recovered, I don't think we're going to have any more answers.